Good morning, everyone. Pastor Chuck Blair here. And this morning I decided to do something a little different, was to actually unmute. So hopefully this is coming through loud and clear for all of you out there. So today we're looking at one that is just this constant reminder. And I just think, oh yeah, this is a reminder. Some services you do as a reminder for other people, and all services, in a sense, we also do as reminders to ourselves. And thus is today. And it's this idea. Excuse me. We will exhaust our friends if we fail to dot dot dot. Now, it's an interesting section we've been reading through here. For those of you joining us the first time, we're looking at a biblical commentary done by Emmanuel Swedenborg. And here he is talking about the story of Noah and Noah and the ark. And we just are getting that story started. And Swedenborg keeps on talking about the story. Then he'll go into a chapter on joy. Excuse me. And that consistent coming back to joy is really important, because I think it's written that way so that we're sort of tethered to the end of the story. Like this is about joy, because the story of Noah and the ark is pretty dire. I mean, the world gets wiped out, like it's very dystopian. But that's not the way Emmanuel Swedenborg held it. He held it like, look, this is really about the story of what goes on inside of each one of us. This is not about destroying other people. This is about the parts of us that need to go, and they need to go so that we can live in this place of joy. But to live in this place of joy, we also have to continually address these areas where we come up short. And there are many of those areas, and we'll talk about a lot of different ones. And today we're looking at this one, and it's based on just a very simple line. But boy, I think we all know this to be true. Self-love. And here, from a Swedenborgian perspective, there's good self-love, and that's confidence, self-confidence. And there's bad self-love, that's narcissism, selfishness, self-centeredness, etc. So the words sometimes sound odd. And sometimes if I say, like, look, we're not supposed to love ourselves, people will rightly say, but wait, that's not Christian. Jesus never says that, by the way. But how does that work? And it's just understanding there's two. There's a good love of self and a bad love of self. Here we're talking about the bad love of self. Self-love shares nothing of its own with others except its self-conception. So what does that mean? I think that means, when we go into a conversation and our primary agenda is, let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about me. Now, obviously, folks, we have to hold this really lightly, because a lot of conversations are sharing our perspectives, our experience, our faith, our hope, all that stuff. Like it is sharing a part of us. Like that's real authentic communication. But this is talking about an agenda where we really are just going into, like, look, my only job, I just want you to listen about me. Me, 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 me. Glorious, glorious me. That's highly dangerous. And that is not a path to the spiritual life. I would imagine all of us have been around people like this. All of us have been around people who never ask us any questions, who never ask how we're doing, who never ask what our day's been like, who never ask us anything. It's just a pure intelligence briefing on their life, and then they're out. And that is exhausting. And so I feel like that we need to have this constant reminder about the need to this sort of reciprocal sharing. Swedenborg uses the phrase mutual love a great deal, and that's that piece that goes back and forth and goes back and forth. It doesn't sort of clip out, our ability to share of ourselves and the way we see it and our experiences, but it means that there has to be a reciprocity there as well. And I just, it's just interesting, if I'm around people who just, I know they're just consistently going to give me an intelligence briefing and then move on, there's not going to be any real dialogue there. And this is horrible to say, I tend to avoid them, because it's just too much. It's just too much. I glaze over way too quickly. And so the trick is, it's a simple trick. Ask people questions. In every conversation, just find one question to ask in there somewhere. How was that for you? Tell me more. That sounds hard. I noticed your body language shifted a little bit when you said da 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 da. What do you feel when you say that? And we're always open. There's always great conversations about, best of, worst of, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we really want to create here at New Church Live. It's this question we have for this week's service is, whose love transformed your life? Whose love transformed your life? Because that creates a beautiful dialogue. And just imagine, even today, you were asked someone like, oh, so tell me, to a partner or to one of your kids, if you have kids, whose love, well, the old kids, I guess little kids probably won't get the question, but whose love transformed your life? It's a great question. And that's where in our conversations, if we can continue to come back to these questions and continue to come back to the gift of listening, that's where good stuff really happens. And the good stuff, this is again a little piece of how Swedenborg saw that. For angels, everyone conveys his or her own blessings and happiness to others. In the next life, there's this beautiful communication of all feelings and thoughts, so that in sharing joy, each communicates to all and all to each. So it's that communicating to all and that communicating of all to each, this reciprocity that goes back and forth. And a lot of that, folks, comes down to just asking a good question. One good question in every conversation will serve us all very, very well. So that is my thought for today, folks. I trust that makes sense as we continue marching through the story here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation, followed by a little prayer, and then a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on social media. For those of you, if you're joining us for the first time, we broadcast on a number of different platforms. And the one that I read social media posts off of is New Church Live's Facebook page. And you're more than welcome to comment there, and more than welcome to comment on any of the formats, any of the time of the week, and we'll get around to it, to saying hi to everyone. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. So let's take a look at any little commentary we have going on today. And it sure was, boy, I absolutely loved yesterday. It was an incredibly gorgeous day. All right. Linda, good morning to you, my friend, and I hope you're doing well. Patricia, great to see you joining us. Rick, good morning from Sandston, Virginia. Rick, and that party looked like so much fun. Eventually, I got to make it to one of those because it looked like an absolute blast. Kim, good morning to you. I'm passing on that good morning to everyone. Marcus, good morning. And Marcus, I deserve 5 extra credit points for never hitting the unmute this morning. Oh, thank goodness for small gifts, right? Sherry, good morning to you, my Tennessee friend, and I hope you're doing well. Uh, Deborah writes, good morning, and good morning to you there, Deborah. Paige writes, good morning. Good morning to you there, Paige. Great to see you joining us here. Linda writes, very good reminder suggestions. Creating connections is what life is all about. And I really do find like good questions are just, I keep a list of them actually because they're just so good. And I mean, they can be serious or they can be light. Like a light one I just heard was if you could choose your own national holiday, what would you call it? I thought that was good. That gives you a little insight right there. Jerry, thank you for joining us this morning. I see you're watching. Mary, such an important reminder. Ask questions and be curious, not in a prodding way, but with compassion. Our fellow stories are always full of beautiful, meaningful experiences. And Mary, I would totally agree with that. It's fascinating as a pastor watching people have these amazing stories and it really becomes this, and detective work makes it sound like they're trying to hide it. It's not really detective work. Like it's incredibly fun work to figure out what people's stories are, like what transformed their life, how did they get to where they're going. And for most people, um this beautiful old quote, most people come to God by way God does not recommend. And I would say most people come to God by way the church does not recommend, because obviously it's God recommended way because that's what happened. And it is kind of interesting watching. This is just around people who are into a faith journey. Oftentimes there's a great stumbling stone in there where they sort of came up against their own the limits of their own abilities, and that's where they found God, which is kind of fascinating to me. Oh, and a little hello to Joy. I see she just popped on there. So, folks, wishing you guys all the best. May you have a wonderful day. Ask a good question today. There's your real simple takeaway. And yeah, I'm just wishing you all the best, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.